Hello students. In this video, we are going to talk about the questions and answers related to the text which is attributed to William Shakespeare, Macbeth. And though this is the shortest play which is attributed to Shakespeare, it is very complex in nature. There are several themes, symbols, motives in the play, which often baffle us when it comes to questions and answers. And this video is useful for, especially for those students who are dealing with this text as a part of their syllabus. And you have to write proper answers. You have to fetch good marks in the examinations. And for that, you have to write very unique answers. So this video is going to help you to write unique answers. And please follow this the structure that I provide in this video. Please follow that structure, and I hope this would be useful for you. So let's begin. Macbeth by William Shakespeare is a play that baffles us because of its complexity. It deals with so many themes, it has so many motives, and so complex maneuverings of plot and character that we often do not know, or at least face difficulties while dealing with it, and do not know what to do when it comes to the examination. That is to say, what type of questions can be asked on this play. So overall, many people say that we can have questions on character of Macbeth, Lady Macbeth. We can have a few questions on the theme of kingship, the motive of horse riding, the equine motive that recurs throughout the play, or the sartorial motive, the metaphor of borrowed robes, also is important from the perspective of a student who is dealing with Macbeth for his or her examination. But then, what to write and what not to write when there is a question on a particular theme or a particular motive vis-a-vis Macbeth? We do not know this. We cannot answer straightforwardly. So that's why I have tried to structuralize the themes and motives in relation to the question and answers which are often asked regarding the text of Macbeth in this manner. I hope this would be useful for all the students who are reading Macbeth for their examination. Now, there are many themes with which the play deals. If we can look at the themes in this particular way, the way that I am showing you right now, we would get 4 theme clusters. Right, so let us try to understand the theme clusters that we get here. The first theme cluster is ambition, where you have the ideas and themes related to overreaching, megalomania, malcontent, treachery, betrayal, crime, violence. So you have to keep in mind that whatever questions come, if you can relate it with the theme of ambition, you have to write a particular type of answer. So questions may, for instance, have the word megalomania or betrayal or crime, treachery. It may contain words like malcontent, violence, overreaching. So if it contains such words, you have to think of the theme of ambition. Then the next theme cluster is, according to this structure, kingship, which encompasses the ideas of good king versus bad king, statecraft, Machiavellianism, good versus evil. So all these themes and all these issues would come into our focus. Machiavellianism refers to the ideas of Niccolo Machiavelli, a Renaissance diplomat from Italy who wrote the treatise called The Prince, which is famous for theorizing upon statecraft, as Machiavelli proclaimed that the prince or the king should be both cunning and wise all the time. If the prince or the king is extremely benevolent, extremely straightforward, it would not be good for the state. The king has to be like a fox as well, right? So it cannot be innocent all the time, it cannot be good all the time, but at times the king should apply or adopt certain cunning measures to maintain peace, maintain his kingdom. Then the third theme cluster is predestination versus free will, which encompasses the themes like sin and fate, right? And the idea of sinfulness, the idea of leading a sinful life, the idea of fate, the idea of divine justice, all these things would come into place. And the fourth theme cluster, according to this structure, is appearance versus reality, which encompasses the theme of equivocation, supernaturalism, and absurdity of life. So what appears and what really it is, there is a discrepancy, and this theme cluster deals with all these discrepancies, be it the prophecies of the witches, be it the way in which Macbeth and Lady Macbeth try to hide their true feelings in front of their guests. Right? Appearance and reality is also always at work in all these situations. On the other hand, if we can find the structure of the motives, so motives are the recurrent images which figure in a text. So we have motives of nature, or which are concerned with the natural world, motives of clothing, blood, children, animal, light and darkness, developing a contrast, sleep, there are visions, and then there is a Christian motive, a motive where Macbeth is a sinner and he is often akin to Satan. So again, we have clusters like this. So if you can arrange the scenes according to these motives and the themes that we just now talked about, you can have a better picture of the play, and that particular picture would enable you to handle the questions in a far better way than you have ever thought. Because you are dealing with a very, very complex play, it might be difficult for you to deal with questions. So this motive cluster and the theme cluster that we are talking about can help you deal with the questions in a better way. So let us now see the mapping of the themes and the motives. So on the one hand, I have placed the themes, the theme clusters, and on the other hand, we have placed the motive clusters. If we think of the theme of ambition, we have to write about the imagery of clothing, you have to refer to the sartorial metaphors, and then you have to also write about the natural world motives, how the natural world responds, and then you have to also write about the motives of blood, which recurs throughout the play. The sleepwalking scene, you can remember, where Lady Macbeth says all the perfumes of Arabia cannot purge me of this stain of blood. Then number 6, light and darkness. There are several images which are related to light and darkness, which develop the contrast between light, which stands for wisdom, goodness, and darkness, which stands for evil. So you can think of Lady Macbeth's walking with a candle, as if she's transfixed into the eternal darkness. It was a dark night when Duncan got murdered. It was an unnaturally dark night. It was a dark night when Banquo got murdered. Right, and then there are images of sleep, which also can be related with the theme of ambition. The theme of ambition primarily concerns with Macbeth's character, and when you are dealing with the theme of ambition, you are primarily projecting Macbeth as an ambitious man, a man who wants to overreach whatever he gets, right? And several other things like the Christian motive of sin and pious life, the sinful life and pious life also should be brought into discussion. Then the kingship motive, the kingship theme cluster. Here you have to bring the motive of nature, natural world, and then the motive of clothing again. Then you have to bring the images of blood, then Christian motive, and similarly I have located these motives in the theme of predestination versus free will, and motive number 8, 4, 3, 1 and 6 according to this particular column, with the theme cluster which is known as appearance versus reality. So any question which comes and which is related to the theme of appearance and reality, you have to use the passages which try to focus on these motives. The motive of visions. Macbeth encounters several visions which again are equivocating in nature, and then also you have to write about the children always threaten Macbeth, and they again create trouble for him. They are threatening. You have to write about the nature and the natural world as well when you are dealing with the theme of appearance versus reality, where you would talk about the anomalous nature. Nature appears to be anomalous at the time when Macbeth is going to commit murder, right? And you have to use the motive of light and darkness as well. Now this formula that I am trying to project here would be clearer if we deal with the actual questions, right? So let's deal with them. Suppose a question of this sort comes: consider Macbeth the play. So consider Macbeth as an exploration of divided self. So if this kind of question comes, what should you write? Now you can write several things. You can approach this text in your own way, but then if you have this mapping inside your mind, or if you write it down, the points, that's what I used to do when I used to deal with question and answer in examination. I used to first write the points. The entire answer I would write in rough, in bulleted points, using words, disconnected words, and then I would elaborate them. Now if you do that, you will find that this is the structure that would help you to answer this question. So for this question, you are going to deal with all these themes, actually A, B, C, D, all the 4 theme clusters are going to come, and these are the motives which would be very important for you. Suppose motive number 8, that is visions. You have to write about the vision of the dagger, the vision of the ghost. So all would enable you to project Macbeth as a divided self. Macbeth, who is having multiple selves within himself. His self is actually divided. He cannot come to terms with his own self. And then, in the same manner, if you consider this question, consider Macbeth as a drama of equivocation. Now, you have to deal with the themes or the theme clusters like appearance versus reality, and then predestination versus free will, and ambition. So, for that, what are the motives that you need to deal with? Visions, definitely. Then number 4, children. Then number 6, light and darkness. Now let's deal with another question. Analyze the character of Lady Macbeth. For this, again, you have to deal with ambition. You have to write about ambition and how that theme gets depicted in the play, and the images related to ambition, you have to talk about them as well. Then also you have to write about kingship, right? And then predestination and free will, and then appearance versus reality. So all the 4 themes would be taken into account. Especially you have to also consider the motive of blood. You have to write about the way in which Lady Macbeth deals with the spots of blood in the sleepwalking scene. Before that, she says that little water would wash away this stain, and then later on she says all the perfumes of Arabia cannot get rid of this, cannot neutralize the smell of blood that is coming. Also, you have to write about sleep, how she suffers from sleep deprivation, and sleep deprivation is the cause of her somnambulist activities. She becomes a somnambulist, she walks while sleeping. And then you have to write about children. You have to talk about the moment when she says, "Come, unsex me," and then she refers to the image of the newborn babe. And as she says that if she had vowed, while consoling Macbeth, if she had vowed to do certain things as heinous as killing her newborn child, she would have done it. So that particular image of a newborn babe also should be brought into discussion. Then, if a question of this sort comes, bring out the significance of supernatural elements in the play Macbeth. First of all, you have to write, so the order would be a bit different. This time, it should not be like ambition, kingship, predestination, free will, and then appearance versus reality, but appearance versus reality would take the center stage, and it would be the primal focus of your answer. So D and then C, predestination versus free will. How much Macbeth controls his actions and how much the witches control Macbeth. So that is what you have to talk about when it comes to supernatural elements, and also the theme of predestination and free will. Motives, well, you have to write about natural world, the motives which are related to the natural world. Then you may write about the motive of light and darkness. Then you have to go to the visions, and then you have to write children, about children, and then animals, as animals often give you premonitions of something evil which is going to happen. In fact, you have to mention the horses of Duncan who eat each other after Duncan's death. This is unnatural and this is quite supernatural in nature. You have to also mention the image of blood which recurs throughout the play. So you can change the order, definitely. The order in which I am writing, it may not be similar to your order, but my point is that if you have the structure inside your mind while you read the play, you would be the structure like this: theme clusters on the one hand and the motive clusters on the other hand. You will be able to deal with any kind of question which may be asked upon this text. So if you have any specific doubt regarding this entire lecture, regarding this structure that I have presented to you, which is based on the themes, the theme clusters and the motive clusters, please mail it to me, and I would definitely try to answer your questions. And you just try this structure out, you just apply this structure, you just try to write all the questions which may come to your mind related to this text in accordance with this structure, and then hopefully you'll be able to come up with unique ideas, and in this way you would be able to make your answers extremely unique, different from your fellow students, and in so doing you will be able to fetch more marks, more rewards from the examiner. So thanks for watching this video.